Our darkest time can make us or break us. And you're not alone. I've been doing a lot of research thinking, what should I talk about? What is that people would like to listen to? Honestly speaking, I'm not a very greatest thinker of all time. I'm not here to share any bright idea. I kept thinking, then I remembered a story. A story of a kid, a 7 years old kid. A story of how depression introduced itself to a 7 years old boy. So this is Sheezan Mohd. Good evening to you all, and allow me to take you on a journey back in time to my childhood and tell you how this depression introduced itself to a 7 years old myself. Well, it's very funny to talk about your childhood. It's a very peaceful time when you think back in time. When you think about it, it's the most beautiful time of your life. The most fragile time of all. And home is the only place where a child feels safe, feels secure. In my case, I think. I was living with my parents back when I was 7, with my sister. I never had a stable family for that matter. I never had a stable relationship with my parents either. My parents were always fighting. I never had that Sukhi Parivar type of thing in my life ever. They were not happy with each other. They never had a working marriage. So they kept fighting. I think at a point they reached on a point that they couldn't bear each other. So that's what happened with us. Me with my sister left alone. My parents only used to talk to each other when they were fighting. And that's something a child should never see. I wouldn't want my kid to go through what I've been through in that childhood phase. Well, funny story to tell. So the landlord one day took the chance. He saw that I was crying, he saw that I was disturbed. He knew what was going on in my family. My father used to hit my mother, my neighbor used to come to save her. And that's why every night. So typically it was never a home for me where I should feel safe. So he took the chance. He took me to the park. He got me this ice cream I wanted. I had to pay for that later on. He took me to the park, he took me to the public washroom, then he molested me. And in the worst way possible. I wish I could tell you how, I don't want to. Because I ran from there. I ran back to my home. Place where I'm again going to see him because he obviously lives nearby. A home where I have nobody to tell my story to. That what just happened to me, I had no one. I ran home, I just went straight into shower, I poured water on myself, I kept doing that. I never felt so disgusted in my entire life. I was feeling scared, I was alone. The reason I'm telling you this is because that whatever childhood I had in my life, I couldn't change that now. I kept that secret for the last 20 years in my chest. Now I'm telling you all of this. I never told this thing to anybody. Not even my mom. Well, my parents split up. My father left me, us. So, here's a funny thing about people, you know. Fun fact, or maybe a bitter fact, nobody's gonna stay with you for lifelong. Eventually they will leave. And it's completely okay, you know, like, I'm not blaming that people left me, my father left me, I'm not blaming him now. It's completely fine. It's his choice, his life. He can do whatever he wants to. But one thing I keep reminding myself that I'm the only power I need. I'm the only supporter I ever need. Later on in my life, you know, my father was the only man I ever loved. And that guy left me. And that point it became such a hard, from that time it became a very hard journey for me to cover. Funny thing to say. In life, you always need somebody to tell you things, especially a father who tell you how to do things, good, bad, about the world, about yourself. In my head, I always imagine if I had a father who would stick by me, just stick by me, forgetting teaching me things, just stick by me. I didn't get that, it's okay. I made my peace with it. But let's not be bitter about it. It was my destiny and I chose to act on it now. I didn't have power then. I didn't have power on my own choices of my own life, but I do that have now. You always have a choice, you always have a power. Things will get hard. They will always get hard. It's up to you how do you react to them. I remember my days, I used to abuse myself standing in front of the mirror. I used to judge myself if I'm going wrong. I used to praise myself if I did something right. I became my own cheerleader in that matter. And that's how I think everyone should be. Expectations are the worst. I'm not saying it's bad to expect. You can expect, it's human nature to expect things, but you should never rely on anybody. You should never ever rely on anybody. Depression stems out of the idea of being alone, the fear of being alone. Sometimes the guilt that people might leave you because of you. And that's the worst part. But then before we talk about that, here's a little personal experience I would like to share. So the show that I was doing back in time, it didn't do me much financial help. I couldn't make much money from that show. I could barely pay my rents. I could barely had enough money to eat food. So I remember once calling my head of production and asking for my check, which was already delayed. And here I was calling him, forgetting every idea of self-respect I ever had. And telling him with all my sincerity and with complete, if this word called truthfulness, I don't know. And I'm telling him that, sir, I really need this check so that I can pay my rent. And if I won't pay my rent this time, sir, my landlord will kick me out of my house. I was hoping he would understand the situation and will help me, give me what I deserve, what I've been working from last months now. He told me it is not company's responsibility whether you live on the road or in your house. I was broken. I never felt so helpless in my life. I had work, but I had no money. And not having money can take you out of places from anything. I never had a lifestyle for that matter. If we say a lifestyle, because I had no money to even, fulfill my little, daily things. So that day I cried myself to bed. I couldn't sleep at nights. I used to be awake all night and think, where am I lacking? What is this? What is that I'm not doing correctly? What am I missing out? Am I not hardworking enough? I am. Am I not dedicated enough towards my career, towards myself? I am. Then what is it if I'm lacking? I used to try to find the answers from my own. And one day I spoke to myself, Sheezan, if nothing's gonna happen for you, if nobody's gonna give you anything, I'm gonna bloody make sure that I take it from that place. That kept me going. The craving I had that I have to end this misery, I have to get me out of this misery that I am in, which is not even my fault. It's nobody's fault actually. Your situations are never your fault. You're there. Now what are you going to do? That matters. As I said earlier, I used to criticize myself a lot, and that habit is still in me. I always criticize myself. And I think that's the best thing I did to myself. Yes, I praise myself time to time, not much. But that made me what I am today. Solitude can give you a great perspective in your life. Being on your own can be the most terrifying yet amazing experience of your lifetime. I think once in a lifetime, everyone should be on your own. Be on their own. It taught me a lot of things. After my show get over, I was out of work for almost a year. I remember my days. I'll be telling you that now. I had only 500 rupees left in my bank account. I thought before I spend that money on something I can't even use it then. I took it out of ATM and I divided it into my 7 days meal plan. Sounds stupid. Money is really important. We all know that. The lifestyle one might have will come from the money. The survival will come, of course, with the money. So with that 7 meal plans, I had only 2 things in my menu, which was 2 eggs and Mumbai ki speciality, the pav. So all I had to eat was din ke 2 ande and 2 pav. That was my daily diet plan. I used to get, scared every day of my life. It's really hard to count your blessing when you're going through such disastrous time of your life. It's very hard to keep yourself sane. But you have to. Because what I've learned from my life, I realized it, that nobody was going to give me anything in my life. If I wanted something, I had to make the effort to get it. I had to snatch it up. And I never trusted anyone. Not even my luck. Because you never know what might just back out at the last moment and left you feeling all depressed and alone and again lost. This is going to happen, it's going to keep happening. So I divided my meal plan. I used to eat my meals like that. Then there was days I had no money at all to even eat food. My only stress was for the day, okay, how am I going to feed myself today? That was my only worry from the moment I wake up until the moment I sleep, which I was hardly sleeping those days. I used to get calls for auditions. There was one opportunity that I always figured, okay, if I want to change my situation, if I want to change my scenario, I have to do something for myself. And what can I do for myself? It's my work. The only thing I had left with, my confidence, which was frankly was going down at that point. I used to get calls for the audition. I used to go empty stomach because each time I had to go for an audition, I had to skip my meal because then I had no money to eat or I had no money to travel. I had done 7 shows till then in my life. It's not that I was a newcomer, it's not that I was a person who would be afraid of camera, of being in front of camera, but I used to be nervous. I used to be really nervous. My hands would shake, my lips wouldn't move, and since I was very hungry, I couldn't speak much, I couldn't speak louder. So, I think that's the thing about the darkest time. It brings you down. It knocks you down. And it will make sure that you be on your knees. It will make sure that. And that's what you're not supposed to let it happen. I said to myself, Sheezan, this is the only chance you will ever have. I took every audition of mine as if it was my last chance. And let me say this one more time. There are no second chance in life. And even if there are second chances, you shouldn't be relying on it. Because you don't know what might just go wrong. Not from your end, but maybe from somebody else's end. I had to fight every moment, every situation I was in. I had to fight myself out. I used to be. Now here's the funny thing. I didn't have money to eat food, but I had things which kept me going. Maybe you call it my willpower. Maybe it was something that kept me going because I wanted to change my situation. And I used to talk to myself, is it ever gonna end? Will it ever end? The misery, not having money, not having work, having this constant worry in my head, how am I gonna pay the bill, my rent? And I used to talk to myself that I don't deserve this, I deserve better than this. And that's what you should be telling yourself. Whatever situation you're in, you deserve better. We all do. Things aren't going your way, make things go your way. Mold the situation into your hand. Sometimes when I used to go for the audition, I had to come back home. I used to be a little selfish for that matter. Thinking if I just walk from my place, from the place I was going for the audition to my place, I might be having some money left so that I can eat at night and I can sleep. And that's not much, but I used to walk around 7 kilometers a day, empty stomach, so that I can feed myself that one samosa or maybe one egg I had left on. But here's the thing. Despite whatever happens in your life, you are on your own. You're the only responsible person for yourself. If you're in this world, you're working, whether you like it or not, you have responsibility. And the greatest responsibility you can ever take or act on is to take care of yourself. If I couldn't take care of myself, how am I supposed to take care of the people who are in my life? What relationship I'll ever be successful in if I'm not in my entire senses, or forget senses. If I'm not happy within, how am I supposed to make somebody else happy? But things like that, you shouldn't be thinking about that only. It's not about that. Forget making everyone happy in this world. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to make yourself happy in whatever the situation is. I got work. At one point I did. It wasn't easy. Even after getting work, hard part wasn't over yet. I still had no money. I still had no food. I used to come from my shoot till wherever my co-actor would drop me. Then I used to walk to my home from that place. I remember my friend giving me food in his home, dabba. He used to give me bread and some sabzi would, so that I would eat at night. I used to eat that and I used to cry. That what is this? What is going on in my life? What is going on in my life? When is this gonna end? I've been doing everything right. I've been doing everything correct. I've got work. Now, where the situation is going to come to an end where I can sleep properly one night, I can sleep with my stomach full of food. There are times in my life where my self-respect was at stake. Even in that hardest part, you should never lose yourself entirely, because if you lose yourself, there's nothing left. And your entire world is you. Never be afraid to take a stand for yourself. If you think what you're doing is absolutely right and you're 100% right on your part, stick to it. People will tell you that you're not worth it, you're not good enough. It's their thinking. Don't listen to them, don't believe them. Believe in yourself and yourself only. You're better than that. You're better than any worse situation going on around you, and you will overcome it. Now that I look back in time, when I was all alone, and now when I see somebody else going through the same which I was facing at once, I think to myself and I say to myself that Sheezan, you're not alone. And neither you are. You are never alone. You have yourself. The only motivation you will ever need, the only power you will ever need is yourself.